Okay, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 OPSIG annual membership meeting. I'm calling the meeting to order today, Sunday, July 10th at 7:01 p.m. Minutes of the prior meeting are available through video. This one again will be available online after we're done with it. So again, if you have anyone has any questions, either raise your hand or put something in the chat to myself or Eric. Just want to introduce a couple of the attending board members. And if I don't think myself, Rob Pinkel is president of the organization, Bruce Morden, who is the vice president, Eric Smith, who's on the board, also the editor of the dispatcher's office and webmaster is here, and Mark Nolan, who's also on the board. I don't think I missed anyone else on the board or part of our volunteer crew that's on at this time. If I missed anyone, just let me know and I will recognize you. First, we usually start with the president's report. The organization overall seems to be in good shape. We'll talk a little bit financial later. We're down on membership. The biggest thing in the past is we used to get a lot of members at the annual convention, which, as everyone knows, hasn't happened since 2019. 2020 and 2021 were canceled, at least in person. 2021 happened virtually, but there wasn't a lot of members who would sign up there. We'll be back again in St. Louis in less than a month with a table in the special interest room to try and bring up more membership. That's our biggest thing. If anyone's running any event around the country, let Al Fresh know, who is our back off issue manager. He will send out a box of back off issues for free, along with some information on joining the organization that can be handed out to the people at the event that you're hosting. We want to just try and spread more information about the OPSIG to everyone out there. I did that recently at my local division meet, and a lot of the people I talked to said, I've heard of the OPSIG, but I've never seen the magazine. So it was good to show off the magazine in front of the local division meet. The planning for 2022 convention is progressing. Thank you to Mike Thomas, who actually volunteered twice. He was the coordinator for the 2020 convention that had to be canceled, and also for 2022. We have 24 different layouts. There's 173 slots available on those layouts. We have 132 that have been filled at this point. Because we have so little slots, we've decided to restrict it to 2 in advance. Once we set up the table at the national convention, as we've done in the past, we'll have the list of available layouts. People can walk in, sign up for that, as we've done in the past. Any questions about that part of it? See anything? One last thing on the president's report. I don't know if we've heard this. Unfortunately, Craig Biscayr has passed away. He was a frequent supporter to the OPSIG as part of the dispatcher's office, as well as his own website, his 10 commandments of yard design. Craig also co-authored a chapter in the compendium book that we are currently still selling. So it was a shock to all of us, but his wife just really put that on Facebook earlier today. Okay, the next thing on our list is membership report. As I mentioned again, the president's report, we're down. Our peak membership had been close to 1,600 to 1,800 members. At last calculation for the July issue, we were about 1,200. We definitely want to get this back up to about 1,500. That's where it makes the organization the best profitability. We've got plenty of money in the bank, as we'll talk about briefly during the treasurer's information. But for last year, we did run a loss because we're printing the magazine, and we just don't have a lot of members that, we've lost a lot of the print membership. So we're looking to get that up. We're looking to start advertising in national magazines and also regions and division newsletters. You know, say join the OPSIG, $10 for the electronic, $25 for the print subscription, 4-year, you know, for 4 issues a year. We've give you back issues on the website. There's a lot of information that we provide to you as part of your $10 a year. It's a great great value for people to join and be involved in operations. Treasury report, again, as I mentioned, we have plenty of money in the bank. We're doing well as an organization overall. We did lose a bit of money last year. That information will be published in an upcoming dispatcher's office for everyone to review. We're looking to try and figure out the best way to handle that loss, and, you know, make sure, again, if we had more members, there wouldn't be a loss. So that's one of the benefits of it. Next thing up is the election reports. I don't think that Peter is on. Peter Kerr is our election chairman, handles all of that for us. There were 2 positions available for re-election in 2022. Both Roger and Eric ran again and were re-elected for another 3-year term. They were on their last 3-year term. In 2023, there will be 2 positions up for election. I am term limited, so there'll be 1 definitely open position for 2023. And Mark is allowed to run again for a second 3-year term. As everyone knows, you know, we're a volunteer organization. We're always looking for new blood to come in and volunteer. We're still, you know, anything you'd like to help us out, let us know. Let myself know, president@opsig.org, or anyone member of the board, just to help out. At this point, the next things on the list are Eric. Eric, if you'd like to talk about either the dispatcher and some of the webmaster stuff we've been doing, you can go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so I'm Eric Smith. I do a few things here. So in terms of dispatcher's office, we've been very, I think, as far as I know, and again, this is something else that I'm going to change. As far as I'm aware, people are very happy with the new format of the magazine. The financial loss that Rob mentioned would be significantly worse had we not switched publishers. Our new publisher is far more responsive. He's great to work with. I mean, I've known him for 20 years, and I think he's putting out I think we're getting a better product than we've ever done. As far as content, I'm always begging people for content. You know, we like to do, you know, we kind of try to have a mix of like real world industry. Eric, oh shoot, Eric Heiser's great series about transportation. I think he's on part 16 now. I think the box is almost to the customer at this point. It's just, there's that many steps. He does a great job. We added Bob Hanna as a new columnist, his thoughts from the basement. People enjoy those as far as I'm aware. But like I said, if you've got an article you'd like to publish, because of our size, even at the slightly reduced numbers, articles in the OPSIG DO count for 2 points per page for NMRA achievement points. I would be happy to sign your paper if you need me to, or I'll send you one electronically. From a timing standpoint, figure right now we are assembling content for the October issue. So if you've got something you want to do, we can look at January. I will basically publish anything operations related. We had a recent request that, why aren't we covering decoders? I didn't realize we'd ever covered decoders, but there's interest. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert at anything. I don't claim to be an expert, but you know, even things like that are perfectly fine to cover. If you want to write it, if it's operations related, I'll probably publish it. Let's see. I think that's it. And like I said, anything you can do, if you've got as Rob said, we've talked to some of the regional newsletters, figuring they're kind of the biggest bang for the buck. Some of them have offered us free space. Some of them want a lot of money for space. We're not probably going to go there. If you've got a division newsletter that you edit, involved with, we have camera ready art that we're working on that can be provided to you to help us recruit some more members. Because like I said, if we can get the membership numbers up, then we don't have to talk about things like price increases. Again, OpSig is not in the business of making money, but we can't keep losing money. So, all right, any questions on the DO specifically? You have something, drop it in the chat.
And again, as Eric has said, you know, if there's something that you don't like that we're doing, you know, let us know.
Yeah, sorry, that was the other thing.
Right.
I'm going to start sending out probably on the 15th, an email with a link to a survey for each issue going forward. We'll list each article. You'll give a simple rating and a place for comments of what would you like to see more of in the DO? What would you like to see less of? Because nobody gives me any feedback, positive or negative, unless I screw up somebody's name or make a typo. So expect to be seeing some more of that just to counter that feedback. You know, like I said, we're kind of throwing it out there into the universe. I hope people like it, but I'll take any comments, any feedback whatsoever. So sorry, Rob.
No, I mean, that's fine. It's just like I said, you know, just let us know that, you know, we do have the Facebook page, and there's been some comments on there. You know, some people are saying, why don't we cover some of the national convention events? And we heard some people saying, you know, why do you keep taking these pictures of people operating? We don't want to see that. But some people said, oh, I like that. So we need to know. It's a member-driven magazine. You tell us, you send your articles in, you tell us what you want to see in the magazine, because we're not writing anything really. Eric gets what he gets and puts it in the magazine. He does a great job on that. So if you've got stuff that you want to see there, you know, let us know. Maybe if you can't write the article, maybe we could find someone who can write the article, that sort of thing.
Yeah, unless somebody complains you're doing good. Yeah, I would like to think that, but let's just say there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that says there are people seething out there like, oh, this is another horrible issue, but I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm sure there are people doing that, but I do appreciate the comment. Rich Randall, if you hang out after the meeting is over, I would be more than happy to demonstrate how to download a copy or download any of the PDFs from the website, which I will just roll right into that. So the website will also tie in the virtual meetups that we've been doing. We've reduced the frequency of those to once a month. I think we may even be getting to the point of, I think people may be tired of Zooming. However, the good thing about these is we are getting a ton of replay value. I'll just share this for everybody's benefit. Let's see. So Rob, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are the statistics that I can see behind the scenes. Now the views are actually on the videos as well, but you can see just this year we've gotten probably close to 3,000 views of these videos. Bruce Morden still wins he had, when his video from last year has almost 1,800 views. That's insane. I mean, and I don't know why that particular one has gotten so popular, other than Bruce Martin's a heck of a guy. But this is really, and we've got little plugs on here, and we've gotten a number of new members from YouTube. When we sign up as a new member, there's a place to say, how'd you hear about us? And we do get people saying, oh, I saw you on Facebook, I saw you on YouTube. So I know among some of the people that I know, they are not Facebook fans. They hate Facebook. It's the worst thing in the world. Well, there's 2 billion people using Facebook. So we make sure that we've got our bases covered. And it does turn into some members. I'd like to see more, but so for now, we're going to continue doing these. Just like the magazine, I'm going to start sending out surveys about the virtual meetup, probably about maybe a week after the event, to basically say, did you watch live? Did you watch on YouTube? Positive, negative comments, just to try to get some feedback on those. Let me stop the share. As far as the website goes, continue to put work into it. The most recent addition is a new notification system. One of the things in terms of our membership drop, I will take at least some of the ownership on why possibly that has happened. If you look at, if you're getting the print issue of the magazine, it basically shows an expiration date. So for instance, people who got the July issue may have an expiration date of September 30th, 2022. Okay, if your expiration date is September 30th of 2022, the July issue was your last issue until you renew. And I think what's happened is people are not noticing that. So we're doing a couple of things. I'm working with Kevin, who's our publisher, to rework the label a little bit to say expiration date 9/30/2022, last issue, or one issue left. So we're going to kind of combine the old how many issues do you have thing with the address label. The reason we do that expiration date is because even if 7/1 was your last issue, you still have access to the OpSig member website until September 30th, 2022. So if you've decided, you know what, you're done with OpSig, you can keep using it until that date. So that's why we have that. But like I said, so the first thing is we're going to change the label a little bit for the people getting the mailing labels. The email that comes out every time we post a digital issue, which we do send to all members, by the way, all members have access to the digital copies. That is pretty clear saying, hey, you have, your subscription expires. The third thing that we're going to start doing is once a month, on the first of the month, we are going to send out scheduled reminders. So you will get I'm going to use, we'll make a theoretical member whose last issue is the January 2023 issue. Okay. So when the October issue comes out, they have one issue remaining. They will get a notice on October 1st telling them, hey, thanks for your patronage. You have one issue left. Please come online and renew. When January 1st rolls around, they will have their last issue in hand. That if they have not renewed, they will get a notification saying, hey, your membership has expired. You need to renew because you just got your last issue. Now, those people will get an additional reminder on February 1st and March 1st with essentially the same verbiage. The final notice will come on April 1st. At that point, they will get a message saying your subscription has lapsed. You missed an issue. OpSig policy is that if you missed an issue and want the print copy, you need to go through the back issue system and order one. One of the things we do have to pay postage, and we can't, you know, if you didn't bother to renew, you need to take the hit and pay for it. And that will be that's already in the email. So that's basically, and those emails will go out to your registered address in the OPSIG site. We do notice, we can tell if the emails are getting through. We do have a handful of people who don't have email addresses. They have NA or something like that. So if you're not getting email on a regular basis from OPSIG, you need to get in touch with me. Webmaster@opsig.org or editor@opsig.org. And we'll make sure that your email is covered. Some providers, AOL, SBC Global, they block email coming in from our provider. Best thing I can do is say, get yourself a Gmail account, because they never block anything. So besides that, the OPSIG website, the next big thing is to rework the calendar. The event calendar is sort of awful. It's got a lot of bad data in it, and I'm going to probably steal some of my stuff from operationsessions.com, where we may even start emailing out events coming up, because right now it's kind of wonky. It's hard to use. So besides that, let's see. I'm just looking at the comments here. I would like virtual meetups to continue, but see a bulk of the meetups behind the member wall. Dan, that's a good comment. And in fact, we are only, one of the things I built was a built-in email system. So when we send an email blast, it is currently going to members only. So right now, the only people hearing about the live member or the live virtual events are members. Anybody can watch the YouTube, but we are limiting it to members at this point. We weren't really getting any non-members anyway. So David, thank you for the comment. Let's see, by promoting OPSIG, promoting OPSIG membership, does the OPSIG national group communicate with the various NMRA regions and divisions within regions, asking them to promote OPSIG among their members? Not currently, at least not, I mean, nothing.
We haven't done it well enough, I will say.
Right.
Yes.
So one of the things
right.
We are planning to do some ads. Let me bring one up real quick. Let's see. And these are still in progress, but I gotta find it here. Let's see. All right, I will share this. And again, this is still in progress. Is that showing up, Rob?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a half-page ad that will be, you know, print quality. You can basically, when we have several regional publications willing to let us publish it for free. We also have a whole page ad. We do, again, there's some work we need to do on it. This was just a first pass. All right. I think that's about it from website, unless anybody else has any questions.
Yeah, well, we'll open, leave the floor open for questions. And that back to Tom's question about promoting, we as the organization, OPSIG organization, has talked about figuring out better ways to promote ourselves. You know, doing things like making lanyards for operating weekends, sending them out, that sort of thing, creating some sort of brochure or pamphlet and sending it out to all these divisions and regions to put out and say, you know, that find out more about us. But the ads are a first step in that sort of thing.
All right, well, that's, unless I'll be open for questions at the end, and I will be, for Rich's benefit, I'd be happy to show everybody how to use the website. We'll just do that as sort of non-recorded live when we're all done. That's it for me, Rob.
Okay. If you want to spotlight me again, I can, because I took it off. Okay. Last thing that I have on our pre-arranged agenda is just talk about the Bill Jewett Award. The board is still on discussions on who is going to win the award. We're going to, get to discuss it by the end of the month and hope to award it at the national convention if the person will be there. So that's why, thank you. We do have 4 nominations for the award this year, and it's just been a tough decision on trying to figure it down. Answering Mark's question, flyers or handbills for events, not yet. It's something, again, we're looking to develop. One of the questions, is what sort of information you think would make sense for people, what draws someone's in to say, oh yes, I want to read more about this OPSIG organization. I want to visit the website. I wanted to, possibly join up. One thing I'd like to see us do, which I haven't discussed with anyone else as of yet, is maybe look to have a spot on our website to get a free electronic edition. Logging to a page on the website, say, how did you find out about us? Was it a regional, a division, that sort of thing? So we can track some of our ads and say, put your email address in, get you a page, and you can download a electronic edition because there's no cost to that. Something maybe January of 2020 or whatever one Eric decides is the best one to show off the organization. Just so. So at that point, again, I don't have anything more on the pre-pan agenda that we've done for the last number of years. And I've been involved with these annual meetings ever since 2012. So open it up to any more questions from the floor. Raise your hand or.
Actually, I've marked it so people can unmute themselves.
Okay, and unmute yourself then and ask questions. We're here to answer any questions you might have, or anything that you say that we're not doing well or are doing well, or want to run next year and replace us all. So.
This is Doug Gurin commenting.
Yes.
Like many other people, I have reservations about the dispatcher's office publishing photos of members.
Okay.
But there is a compromise, and I've proposed this to the Layout Design Journal as well, which is think like a journalist, include people, but show something that reveals or implies operations, whether it's a control panel or a sample of the paperwork or a call board. There are lots of interesting things that many of these layouts that could include, a couple of the OPSIG members, but it provides some information to the reader as opposed to just a lot of faces.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, a quick note on that, Doug. When we put on the Facebook page especially, those photos are generally just dumped up there. There's generally unless it's somebody who people happen to know, we don't put up who this is. We don't name them or anything like that. The thing that Rob was talking about was several years ago, we were doing these event write-ups in the magazine, and we got complaints that, oh, you're putting too many photos in the magazine. And so about that point, we started using the Facebook page to share those photos out because people said we were wasting space. So like I said, the Facebook is actually it's a great place to put them because we can put all of them up. Hundreds and hundreds of photos, but we appreciate the comment.
Dan has a comment in the chat here about submitting some of the recordings that we already done to the NRA X platform. Obviously, yes, we need to talk to the presenter and see if they're willing to allow us to do that, but I think that that's something we can do. Uh,
Yeah, normally the NMRA, I believe the NMRAX is actually done live.
They do, and they have done some pre-recorded stuff in the past,
Okay,
especially since, you know, they have redone a number of clinics again and again. It's been a while since they've done one, so I don't know what their status is either. I think the last one was April. So I don't know if they're
Yeah.
going to try and do one in this month or wait until after the convention.
When we saw Gordy at Indy Junction, it sounds like NMRAX may be wrapping up. They're kind of running into the same thing we are. People are not, they're not getting the interest that they did during the heat of the pandemic. So, but we did, OPSIG was featured in, there was one session, that introduction session that I mentioned, that was actually done in NMRAX. We had a fair number of people who watched it. So
yeah. Answering Mark had a question about the time and duties for the board of directors. Primarily it all depends on how much business we have. We are obligated to have one meeting a year at minimum to reorganize the board within 14 days of this annual meeting to elect, because we have the board of director members, and then we elect the president, a vice president, and appoint, secretary for the organization for the next year. Other than that, we usually, depending on the business, have 1, 2, or 3 different conference calls throughout the year, either on Zoom or just through a free conference call number. An hour, a couple hours. We do ask, if possible, the board of directors to attend the national convention and help out with at the special interest desk, answering questions from members. That hasn't obviously been something we've needed since we haven't had an in-person convention. But if you have any more questions about, we can answer, what you need to, what we're looking for in a board of director candidate. Dan Cohen asked about digital embedding video.
not at this time. It's PDF downloads, and it's exactly what goes to the printer. I mean, literally, Kevin will complete the high-res PDF, give it to me for download, and hand it off to his printer. Typically for videos, we will provide links with like opsig.org/ I think it's L/ and then a code, so it's easy to type in. But at least from the PDF, you can click on it and get to the videos, but not embedding it within the actual thing.
This is Doug Gurin again.
Yep.
A great deal of respect for the imagination and cleverness and dedication of the OPSIG volunteers. The Layout Design SIG has had some volunteers to prepare an archive of our publications, as well as to develop an index. So my question is to the listeners, have any of you had any experience with this kind of thing? You might have some particular lessons or thoughts that people who are in these volunteer roles might like to follow up with.
Well, we do have all of the dispatcher offices ever up on our website. Some of the early ones are very poor quality PDF, but every issue we've ever published is actually up available. So,
Do you have any search mechanism to help people find?
well, some of the old ones are not searchable. They were simply images. The new ones, I mean, within a PDF, you can do a search across. I'm trying to find an email. There was somebody who was playing with this. Guy named Kent. We played with this back a little while ago, about tweaking the PDF so it could be searched. He basically ran an OCR tool on it, and it worked okay. It was not great because some of them had to be rescanned. We didn't have the PDFs. But I think it's something that can be done. It's just time consuming.
I ask because it's just, how do you find things when you have the
Yeah,
availability
yeah.
of the whole library?
Yeah.
One of my thoughts was to have a compilation just of the tables of contents of the magazine, so you could at least thumb through those.
Oh,
Right.
that is actually up on the website as well. Let me show it here. So like here in the DO online section, I always snapshot the cover and the table of contents, so you don't have to waste time downloading.
Yeah, I mean, to Doug's point, I think it would probably be help if we had, all of those in, if someone was looking for a certain version
Yeah.
copy of Eric's thing, we just need a volunteer to spend the time to.
Yep. I would be happy to let somebody volunteer to do it, and I will put it up for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that we had at a little bit on the old version of the website. It just had gotten way out of date. I think it was like 10 years old that someone, stopped putting any information in there. So it wasn't something we really needed to transfer over to this current one as of yet. Like, again, I don't know. There are some other, and I don't know the status of it. There were some other people who were going around the internet and doing this sort of thing for the NMRA and then for other organizations. I don't know the status of any of those projects at this point.
Yeah.
To do an index of every single available model railroad magazine or things out there.
I mean, I think it's just, as you said, it's just the time to copy and paste out of the table of contents,
Yeah.
Into a Word doc or something. But what I was talking with the OCR is to be able to do a search, like a keyword search across all the issues. That takes a little bit, it can be done. It takes a little bit of work, and there's some bigger fires I got to put out on the website before that. So it's on my list of see if we could do it type things.
Well, I was curious because you can get 10,000 hits when you type in a word like staging or timetable or something like
Sure.
that. How do you do a selective search that narrows the field to a more managed scope?
Yeah, use more. I mean, generally, if you use more keywords or something like that, but
does that work with OCR?
Do what?
Does that work with OCR, or are you limited to one word at a time?
Well, the idea is that you have to convert the PDF into something that can be scanned. Then you load it into SQL Server, which can handle the searching. It'll do like the Soundex searching, where if you type, Eric, it'll search for Eric with a C, Eric with a K. The database can do a lot of that. You just have to get the documents into a format that it can work with. And then you build the code around it so you can do the search. So if you're looking for staging, well, the article that has the most staging would typically pop to the top and then sort of work down from there.
Hey, Eric, the guys at Iowa Scaled Engineering created a railroad magazine index, and they'll add pretty much anything that has the PDFs available so they can scan them.
If you want to email, if you've got contact information, just email it to me. I'd be happy to get in touch with them.
I'll put the link in the chat.
Dan, what type of permission do I have as a member to use logo or promote YouTube videos on your own YouTube channel? You are more than welcome to share our videos, as long as you aren't like taking our videos. If you want to share it to say, hey, here's something, this was a virtual meetup that we just had, the more traffic, the better. Using the OpSig logo, that gets a little sticky. You can say that you're a member. Things like, the OpSig sponsors my site, that that isn't quite correct, but yeah, you're more than welcome to, you know, share our channel. You can share the playlist with the virtual meetups, share the whole site. There's absolutely no problem with that. And then obviously fair use applies to, you know, if you wanted to share a clip from something, that's generally okay too. It's just if you were to start re-recording it, claim it as your own, then we might have a problem.
This is Doug. I have one last question for the
Okay.
assembly. It's great that you posted the DO on the website. How do you decide about who can see it and what charges to impose for people to get access to either particular issues or to get access to the whole collection?
If you are a member, if you are a current member of the OPSIG, you can download any of our old issues without restrictions.
Yep.
There are no charges to get any of our old versions of the magazines. We had discussed that a couple of years ago. We talked about doing, you know, selling PDF versions electronically, and we just said, let's just share the information out there. If you're a current member, you can go into the website and view and download any edition ever since the OPSIG started. Once you're no longer a current member, that goes away. That's what Eric had said about, you know, the timeouts, but
yeah, if you're no longer a member, so we have information on digital issues back to when digital issues were created, probably in 2008. We did not have information about print subscriptions prior to April 2020. So if you drop your membership with the OPSIG, you can still log in, but you will only see the issues that you had subscriptions for, or, you know, had a digital subscription for.
Mhm.
All of the rest of them disappear.
Yeah.
Now, if you, that meant, the thing I mentioned about a lapsed issue, if you want the print issue, that's when you have to pay for the back issue. However, digital, you can just say, oh, well, I missed a print, I'll just use the digital. That's fine. So, Eric, hold on, let's see. Eric, when you said we could share, you mean sharing a link to any of the web pages or videos? Yes, you can share links into the OPSIG website. Obviously, anything behind the member section won't work for non-members. Anything on YouTube is public. So yes, you're more than welcome to share links to what we provide.
yeah. And like, if you're on Facebook, you can share some of the stuff we post to the Facebook page.
Yes,
To
yes.
your friends or your own
Yep.
page or whatever.
Yeah, everything on the Facebook page it's a page, so it's all public. So you can share that. We share stuff from other sites. You know, if it's operations related, we'll typically share it if I see it. So. Dan, I think monetization on YouTube, I think you need up into the tens or hundreds of thousands of people before they start paying you anything. But it does help with the more people who subscribe to the channel,
Yeah.
it does help with our search engine results though. So
Yeah. If you subscribe to all, you know, that, as anyone who's ever watched the YouTube video, you know, subscribe, like, and share the video. You know, if you like the video, it says that people are watching the video and
Right.
enjoying the content that's in there. And then that makes the algorithm say, oh, maybe other people who have some sort of things will like this. And it starts posting it to, this is things you might like on your YouTube feed. And so it can all help. I mean,
oh, I didn't realize the monetization come that low. He's saying 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours viewed in a 12-month period. So let's see here. I don't think we're anywhere near that. Yeah, actually, we're pretty close. We've had, in the past 365 days, we have had 13,854 views and a watch time of 3,200 hours. So go team.
Yeah. So if we get
Thanks
more
for all
people,
the
to see-
thanks for all the people who contributed content for the virtual meetup. There's at least a few of them on here. Ken is on here. I'm sure there are others. Let's flip through the list. Rick Watson, I see on here. I know Seth has done some in the past, so.
yeah, as Dan is, you like and subscribe, if you're not, if you just, if you watch one of them and just like it or dislike it, I don't, tell your, as Seth says, tell your friends. Share it on.
Drop, and just for, that's the YouTube channel.
Okay, and then once again, everyone can unmute themselves if they have any more questions for any of us on the call or in the chat.
I have a question.
Okay.
Talking about research and all, and I typed it in the chat room also.
Mhm.
The question I'm having is, I'm using Extract CAD to draw up my layout, then send it to you folks to review it. Is there an easier program to use for drawing out layouts? And second, I'm doing research for different types of switching yards. Is there drawings already made up of these yards? Other than just a couple of manuals that you produced in the past? If I'm not making any sense, I
No,
apologize.
Almost sounds like an LD SIG question.
Yeah,
I think they've got a lot of archived content in terms of.
of different yards. I mean, I know there was a whole yard design magazine that came out a number of years ago. Doug, what do you know what year that was?
I think that was either 1990, I think it was 1992. We've reprinted it 4 or 5 times,
Yeah,
and it really is Bible for a lot of them.
Yeah, I did. The thing is, I got more results from your group here, OpSig, than I do with LD SIG, and I belong to both of them.
Okay.
But you guys are so fantastic, both at National, and you're also the videos during these conference calls, whatever you want to call it, Zoom meetings. You're just great. I get a lot more out of you than I do LD SIG for some reason. So I'm trying to get to your level, but I need to build my yards first for switching.
Yeah.
and
Seth,
I don't get the results from LD SIG, so that's, I'm up in
Seth,
that.
can you do you have a link to the? I'm assuming you're talking about LD SIG yard design. Seth?
Yes.
Can you provide a link, or is it something he can? Is it one of the issues that he could buy?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Oh, well, but if you
Go
want to, here, let me do this. Let me make it easy for everyone instead of taking everybody's time here. I'll put my email address in, and if you just send it to me, a link or something, I appreciate it.
There's an index. If you go here, hold on.
You can go to ldsig.org.
Yep, I just threw a link to the index page, Bob.
Yes.
You
I
can
see
just
it.
do a find in the browser, and you can it'll probably jump right to the layout for the yard design.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and
There's-
back on track design, you'll get 50 different answers for 50 different people. There's a lot of different, there's the Extract CAD is one, Third Planet. There's
I use SCARM.
yeah, SCARM is one. If you have a Mac, there's different programs. You can, a lot of the magazines use Illustrator and some track templates that they have built for that to do it for magazine quality, but Macrail, I know Bob Sprague uses for all his stuff that he's got. So, I mean, they're,
I'm a Windows person, so
yeah,
I'm stuck.
Yeah, Bob, if you click on that link I sent you, that goes to what Travers was mentioning. As I said, you can do a find. I mean, there's lots of stuff on yard design. They have all of their issues listed on that page. And
And
you
there's
can
also
probably,
the very, oh, I'm sorry. There's
No, go
also
ahead,
the
John.
very, very old school of the old soft cover books, track planning for realistic operation and realistic model railroad design.
stuff
Those
from
won't
Tony
get
Custer.
Tony Kester and what, John Armstrong?
Yep.
Even
Mhm.
before that.
yeah.
I mean, that'll give you some ideas as to layout design principles and track yard principles. Might help you out.
Yeah,
Bob,
because
are you
there's so
going
many
to the
different yards
convention?
out there.
Bob, are you going to the convention?
Not 2022, but I'm going to Texas in 2023.
Well, the Layout Design SIG offers personalized consultation at the national convention.
Yes,
In addition, if you write a request to on the LDSIG groups.io email list, you should get some feedback on that.
thank you. I know in 29, Salt Lake City, whenever it was.
2019,
2018,
yes. Mhm.
That's when I met the table, and that's when I joined LDSIG. But like I said, I got a lot more of you guys than I do them. And I see the book on the
Yep.
Amazon.
This is one of the books. The plan, let me see. His planning is good, talks about layout design elements. And then multi-deck, I have this one. This is a great book. Although it's not $44.95. These are used.
Yeah.
But at least you can get an idea of what's out there.
Yeah. But there's so many choices. So I'm writing this down, multi-deck.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just search for Tony Custer, Koester.
Tony, one more time, Tony. What was his last name?
Yeah, I put a link. There's a link in the chat.
Gotcha. Oh, that's what it is. Okay,
Yeah.
I see it.
I think it's Custer, isn't it?
Well, but I got your link. So once I find out, I'll do the rest of them. Thank you.
Yes,
And
Eric,
then-
it's Custer.
And then what John Hansky was mentioning, John Armstrong also. He's the sort of the dean of layout planning. But I kind of like Tony's stuff. I like the multi-deck design personally. So
And a lot of Tony's
both of them are
stuff.
Purdue grads, so boiler up.
Yeah, yes, I'm right there with you, Eric. A lot of Tony's stuff, just buy one of his books because
Yeah.
a lot of it is redundant, but that'll put you on the right track, no pun intended.
Mhm.
Ouch. All right.
Thank you all for letting me take a little bit of your time. I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
it.
Okay. Any other things that we want to include in the meeting? As we said, Eric can stay on, and we can all stay on to talk about the website and downloading things afterwards. If not, I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn.
Were you going to do a treasurer's report?
I did do a brief treasurer's report. The numbers are going to be published in the DO coming up.
I can share them. I have the PDF if you want me to.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We're open, so I'm gonna say
Yeah. All right.
not gonna.
All right. So this is the balance sheet as of right now. This is year ending 2021, $231,000. Part of that is in the Bill Jewett Memorial Fund of $96,000. There's some quite understand all of the entries here, but as you can see, there is actually this was the net loss we talked about for 2021. This is the P&L for last calendar year. Our main thing that we look at is printing of the issues. We're basically, so the printers generally like to print 600 to 700 copies. That's kind of their, at least the printer we're working with our publisher. We're kind of, our batch cost is about the same, even if we keep dropping print copies. So it's essentially going to cause the per piece cost to go up. It's kind of sort of a net, the total cost. The digital doesn't cost us anything except for the design cost that we pay to the publisher to do all the work of layout and so on. But we don't, we do make a slight profit on those, but it's not enough to cover the difference in the print. So that's why we kind of really need to focus on trying to get those numbers back up that Rob was already talking about.
Yeah, and just for people, back in 2018, 4 years ago, we had 1,568 subscribers. 802 of them were electronic and 770 of them were paper. We've lost about 300 plus members in the last 4 years. And a lot of that is just because, we're not out in the hobby enough. And that's why we've talked about doing the ads and doing other things to show. I'm sure that at the national convention this year, depending on how many people show up, we'll get a lot of new members because they'll say, oh, I haven't heard of you. And, join us for a year, $10 for a year. That's, for the electronic one, and you get all the back issues. So that sort of thing. Or if you like to print one, $25 for the year.
Yep. The other thing is we do have the advertisers that we really appreciate, like Rapido Trains on the back cover. Streamline Back Shop has a half page. Walthers, White River, NCE, and there was one other advertiser. Those dollars are not shown in there, but those do help offset the cost of publication. So you'll see that on next year's P&L. Sorry, let me see. Oh, Logic Rail Tech. They were the other.
Yeah, they've been a good.
Yep.
Eric,
Go ahead.
Eric, Bill Raymond.
Mhm.
Has anybody pursued scale trains? They're really big into trying to support the hobby.
So, Bill, we need an advertising manager for the OpSig. Would you like to volunteer? We do. We need somebody to go out and talk about it, and give them the price list and that sort of thing.
We did. Yeah, we did actually talk to Scale Trains, and they did not. I believe Owen reached out to them, and unfortunately, they did not get back to us. But
yeah, it's one of the volunteer positions that we've been looking to fill for a couple of years now. Someone who just can talk to the people, send out our rate sheets and make sure that we bill them and they pay.
We don't want to overwhelm the magazine with ads, but right now we only have, let's see, Rapido has a full page, SBS has a half, and the other ones are considered 1/12 pages. So we don't even have 2 full pages of ads in the magazine, which is, I think it's a very good. I wouldn't want to go more than, I think we can take all the ads we can get, but I think more than 10%, it's going to start looking like Model Railroader. So,
yeah.
Hey, Eric.
Sir.
Byron, you and I did talk about me doing your publications, the thing that he just talked about, and you and I never got back together to solve our problems.
Well, why don't we plan to do that?
Okay.
It probably hit about the same time that I got called into the work at the hospital all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. We'll set up something for next week to talk.
Yeah.
Email at least.
Yeah. For Seth's benefit, the advertising rates are actually on the website. Let me bring that up real quick. On the public, it's actually on the public site of the website. So, right, these are the current rates. A 1/12th ad is sort of that little posted, or that little tiny one. We do build per year, so $275 a year. Half page is $250 and issue $1,000 a year. Half page ad elsewhere is $800. Our back cover is currently covered. That's $1,400 a year. Full page ad somewhere else is $1,200. So those are all up on the website under the dispatcher's office, advertising the DO. So if you happen to know a small company that wants to support a worthy organization, we'd be happy to take their money. I mean, provide an ad for them.
Okay, anything else? Anyone? As I've said, I will be it's in St. Louis. So if anyone has any more questions, just wants to talk out, not in a public setting, let us know. We'll be at the SIG room, which will be filled with SIGs and bus tours, but that should be fun. So can I motion to adjourn this part of the
We
meeting?
adjourn.
Okay. Second.
I'll
Mark,
second it.
Okay. Bill, thank you. Okay, so that we are done that part at 8:03. Eric, you can stop the recording.